Guys, let's hit the like button. It helps JCM's channel.
Maybe hit our quota first, don't you think, Steve?
No quota!
Now, before we start the episode, I want to thank a very special subscriber who wished to remain anonymous. This person sent me a Zeppelin memorabilia donation, including a Killer 1995 Page and Plant official shirt, just in time for the making of this episode. The power of music brings this community together, and moments like these are amazing. Thank you, my fellow subscriber, for your generosity and invaluable items of rock history. This is the making of the 1995 tour, Page and Plant.
Also, thank you, my friends, for finally remembering my phone number. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Was the exclusion of John Paul Jones an obvious sort of...
Shut up. No. An obvious. Oh, it don't matter. It's just that Jonesy was busy and we're busy.
Okay, now on to the first chapter of Page and Plant's Unledded journey. The 1995 corporate sponsor world tour with their former Led Zeppelin logos mixed together. But yeah, it's not a Led Zeppelin reunion, right, Robert? 14 countries, 97 concerts. Just a small note, the most profitable tour award of 1995 went to the Rolling Stones with their Voodoo Lounge concert run from August 1st, 1994 all the way through August 30th, 1995. The total number was $320 million, beating the highest grossing tour of 1994, that being Pink Floyd's The Division Bell Tour. I hadn't heard the Page and Plant audience nor soundboard recordings in detail for about 20 years. Revisiting them for the series allowed me to pinpoint the main problem I have with this tour. While I found their playing quite intense and they really earned their money, Michael Lee's snare drum sound and Charlie Jones's thing-sounding bass get on my nerves. I have no doubts on their musicianship. Michael Lee was a maniac drummer who played his heart out night after night, but man, was that snare drum tuning a bit high for my taste. I can make peace with John Paul Jones not being there, but the rhythm section sound is somewhat underwhelming on the Zeppelin numbers. You can tell the energy on stage was electrifying, but because they played so many Zeppelin tracks, my ears are used to the Jones and Bonham standard by which greatness is measured. Sorry guys, you wanted to play Zeppelin? This is my parameter. That being said, I will present many tour highlights. I can still see greatness past the technical side of things, and there were many throughout the year. Charlie Jones's upright bass work was truly remarkable. Where Robert Plant seemed to be the main protagonist in 1994 with Jimmy added to his solo career vibe, Jimmy Page was the MVP of the 1995 tour. The name Page and Plant 1995 was very fitting. His rhythm work and lead chops felt natural, back at his element. The onstage moves were there. They reflected his joy of coming back to the source and the stadium dimensions of the past. Robert's voice was not the star of the show. He had the spotlight, yes, but his range was limited. His voice could get tired at times. Performance-wise, his presence was there, but Robert Plant, the solo musician, slowly vanished into the warm gun of the Led Zeppelin revival. What happened in 1998 shouldn't surprise anybody. Just watch a concert from this tour and you'll see a countdown timer on Plant's willingness to let others steal his show. It was his manager and his idea, right? Page and Plant took the Unledded concept on the road with a great supporting cast, both symphonic orchestra and Egyptian ensemble. The setlist contained almost all the songs from the 1994 release, except Battle of Evermore, City Don't Cry, and the Rain Song. Revisiting this part of the story reminded me of ELP's 1977 Orchestral Works tour, and I wonder how these guys managed to keep this a profitable venture. We could speculate hiring local symphonic orchestras and smart logistics for this gigantic tour to be possible. Now let's talk about Led Zeppelin numbers performed in 1995. While these were not played at every show, all these songs were played at least once. Here are the album stats. 4 songs from Zeppelin 1, The Brown Bomber was played almost in its entirety, except Moby Dick. 7 out of 10 tracks from Led Zeppelin 3 were done, plus Hey Hey What Can I Do from the 1970 sessions. The 4th album was represented without Misty Mountain Hop nor Stairway. 6 cuts from Houses of the Holy left out the Rain song. It was a highlight on the Unledded VHS, but there was no love for it in 1995 it seems. Maybe it sounded a bit similar to Wonderful One. 5 songs from Physical Graffiti. Presence was represented with 3 tracks, including a rare but debatable Candy Store Rock, which was allegedly played on July 26th at Wembley Arena. If anyone has a recording, let me know. In the Evening was the only track from In Through the Outdoor with a small verse reference to Curtis Alhambra in the middle.
It's not working.
1, 2, 3.
It's been a while since you and Robert have toured together. Any nervousness, apprehension?
There's no apprehension whatsoever. I'm waiting for this, bated breath. I can't wait to start getting the whole thing moving. I always get nervous before any show. It's a perfectly healthy thing because I think it's just adrenaline racing in the body.
At this point in the game, you still get nervous?
Oh yeah. I'd feel rather uncomfortable if I didn't. I think.
Really still get nervous?
Oh, sure. Why do you think I do it? Part of the thing is that frightened the hell out of me. And there's so many things to remember. But the most important thing to remember is, we want to have a lot of fun.
The 1995 World Tour was divided into 3 parts. I did my own tour calculations based on the average ticket price and venue seating capacity, leaving out festivals, of course, because they have a different feel together. The total number for ticket sales came in at $38 million. I let you guys figure out how much the actual gross profit was. You can share your numbers on the comment section below. Jimmy Page hadn't seen this kind of touring money since 1977. Robert Plant's tours of 1988 and 1990 saw big bucks come in, but his numbers for 1993 were significantly lower and the venues got smaller. Unledded was a money-making venture. Add in the latest 1994 Led Zeppelin single album CD remasters and the traveling band cruise at full speed through the galaxy. At least John Paul Jones saw some publishing money from the CDs, I guess. Touring money he was left out from. Most of the 1995 shows sound pretty much the same. High voltage, high level playing and crowds going crazy. You can get ear fatigue after listening to a couple of dates. The good thing about these concerts was the consistency. Pick a random show and you'll be entertained. I was going to do a detailed analysis of most of the shows from this tour, but I found it redundant. Many parts of the set are self-explanatory. With a direct connection to Unledded, they managed to recreate a note-by-note rendition of the VHS material on stage and gave fans an experience they will never forget. If you are into Unledded, this tour is a treasure because it is the main requirement to really enjoy the sound, concept, and vibrations. I fully comprehend this was an event you had to be there, no question. An audience recording from this at max volume is an experience for sure. Now, if you're not into Unledded like me, you'll get bored on the parts you already saw on their 1994 show, but you'll be thrilled at the new old stuff they added to their set. Some of the magic of Unledded, in my opinion, laid on the extraordinary circumstances it was created, plus the added visual sequences. The 1995 tour took away all the mystery and turned it into different worlds joined together like a musical quilt of brilliance, redundancy, and lunacy. The clever setlist opener of Immigrant Song into the Wonton Song became Page & Plant's heavy attack intro for all their concert tours. Wonton Song was played 5 times by Led Zeppelin in 1975, with a last rendition at Indiana's Market Square Arena on January 25th that year. A definite icebreaker that got the show to a great start. Like Unledded, these concerts had different sections, from electric band to acoustic to symphonic orchestra to Egyptian ensemble. My favorite moment from these setlists was the inclusion of The Song Remains the Same, with Paul Thompson recreating the studio version's lead guitar bits, while Jimmy played rhythm on his 12-string. A first time for this song and quite a teamwork effort by both guitars. It's my favorite track from the tour because Jimmy Page goes full Jimmy Page here, with his signature moves intact. Akitas Last Stand was played 3 times on the first leg of the tour, a first time for Page and Plant since July 5th, 1980. It was a solid effort with Robert working out the lyrics with confidence. The aid of Paul Thompson's rhythm guitar added to the Presence Guitar Army sound. A great excursion to the latter days of Led Zeppelin's journey. Precise execution without hesitation. Michael Lee's drumming was perfect for these fast tempo numbers. The new material written for Unledded was played on selected dates to mix results. They weren't standout tracks at these shows, and it makes sense they were quietly discarded. How can you compete against Led Zeppelin songs, right? First leg of the North American tour had 48 shows across the United States and Canada. The tour kicked off in Pensacola, Florida on February 26th until May 27th. 19 concerts from this run saw Page and Plant return to iconic venues that Led Zeppelin played before, such as the Boston Garden, San Diego Sports Arena, and the Forum. Dates like Landover, Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and the Spectrum were a special comeback as Zeppelin fans saw cancelled dates here in August 1977 and October 1980. With a ton of live bootleg recordings out there, how do you spot a 1995 Page and Plant show? Easy. First, look for the most ironic moment of the post-Led Zeppelin story. How Jimmy Page convinced Robert Plant to play a Coverdale Page number is mind-blowing. This couldn't get more toxic, right? Instrumentally speaking, it was an improvement over the 1993 live versions, with Paul Thompson adding acoustic guitar textures and Michael Lee's powerhouse drumming. It sounds so much better than Denny Carmassi Japan 1993. Robert's vocal take is more down to earth. Because he can't reach the high notes Coverdale could, we get a what if Led Zeppelin actually recorded this in 1978. In the same way I didn't like Coverdale playing Zeppelin material, I prefer Coverdale's vocals over Plant's for this song. You can tell Jimmy is happier on stage with Robert than David, but Plant's phrasing here cuts down so much of the larger-than-life approach that made it work on Coverdale Page and Japan 1993. Next is a strange but hard-rocking cover of The Cure's 1980 hit Lullaby. At least they played it with one of the guys who actually recorded the original. I like the music, but Robert's personality was not suited for this. As much as he tried to Robert Smith his way through it, Smith is a true misfit, where Plant has been a popular dude since 1969. Okay, next, track 1 from Fate of Nations, Calling to You was an obvious choice. It's Kashmir meets Hola Love. It's a tour highlight, but I wish they played a faster tempo like the 1993 versions. Paul Thompson and Jimmy Page's incendiary guitar plus the orchestra was magic. This should have been in Unledded. Calling to You featured a jam section that included a Jimmy Page octave effect solo, The Doors' Light My Fire or Break On Through, and Dazed and Confused. This arrangement was later reworked into Hola Love later on the year. The show featured a special solo spot by hurdy-gurdy player Nigel Eaton to fully appreciate his contributions and vital sound to the Unledded project. The symphonic orchestra and the Egyptian work speaks for itself. The sonic dimensions and depth brought by the expertise made this tour a once-in-a-lifetime experience past the audio limits of the VHS. In the Evening was a great addition to the setlist, which makes you wonder, once again, why didn't they play this on Unledded? A first time for Page and Plant on stage since July 7th, 1980, it featured a brilliant inclusion of Caruso Alhambra's slow section in the middle, with Robert somewhat changing the lyrics to avoid the famous jab at Jimmy Page on In Through the Outdoor. Encore's Black Dog and Kashmir had fans screaming for more as the Egyptian ensemble closed an evening of nostalgia overdose.
Już zupełnie pognębia zespół Chicago Shaquille O'Neal. 108-102, 4 sekundy do końca meczu. Ponad 3 minuty.
14 punktów z rzędu Orlando i ani jednego drużyny Chicago Bulls.
Ponad 3 minuty bez punktu zespołu Chicago. 108-102 i Orlando czeka teraz na swego rywala w finale konferencji wschodniej, a będzie nim albo nowy...
Not halfway through the end. Anyway, it's great to be back at the end, and tonight we're going to take you through lots of different colours of the music that Jimmy and I and all of us collectively have created over the last 25 years. Very honoured to have with us a very distinctive gentleman, both in style and musicality and personality, from one of the most influential bands of the last 20 years from Britain. Would you welcome from The Cure, Mr. Paul Thompson? with an orchestra that comes, I'm not sure where from, but I do believe Seattle. Also on keyboards, very cheap tonight, Mr. Ed Shermer. Oh, come on, guys, he's come a long way. Great honor to introduce to you for the last time in the United States before they go home and have to act real. From Cairo, Egypt, would you give a warm welcome to the Egyptian pharaohs?
The second part of the tour was a 27-date European run that included several daylight festivals like the famous Glastonbury, as well as special appearances in Italy, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, and France. Because of the touring logistics, some dates did not include the orchestra configuration. Sonoria Festival in Italy had an all-star selection of artists with the names of Faith No More, Primus, Danzig, The Cure, and Terence Trent D'Arby. The Rock Over Germany Festival series included groups like America, Black Crowes, Eros Ramazzotti, Joe Cocker, Rod Stewart, Dream Theater, Status Quo, and Elton John.
It's great to be playing again with our friends the Black Crowes. Great band, the Black Crowes. We hope to be playing with them a lot in the future. It's now time to introduce to you some of our new friends. Would you please welcome from Cairo, Egypt, the Egyptian pharaohs.
Throughout Europe we played and throughout America we played, and we've never experienced this is an old-time festival, and we should thank Michael and Jean here for 25 years of Glastonbury Festival. So on behalf of all those people who've worked and enjoyed the festival over the last 25 years, we'd like to present you with this token of everybody's thanks and love.
Hi, this is Robert Plant.
This is Jimmy Page.
And we're just about to get run over at Eurochem.
Yeah, you're rocking.
You're rocking. Watch out.
Last 4 shows from the tour had Page and Plant back in England for 2 final dates at Wembley Arena, London on July 25th and 26th. Both their manager at the time, Bill Kirbishley, convinced his clients to invite former Led Zeppelin manager Peter Grant. Quote, "He's not in great shape, guys. Don't carry this with you." They were reluctant to do so, but agreed. Peter came into the dressing room, vibes were positive, and all bad feelings were resolved. Grant was thankful for this opportunity.
They're trying to help you find what to wear, but they're really just wearing you out.
You know what? I'm going to try these on.
Since Twix gives you chewy caramel, milk chocolate, and that great cookie crunch, twice you get one great snack after another.
Sugar-free gum has flavor that really goes the distance.
Extra lasts extra long. Back to 4 on the floor. Our next topic, Led Zeppelin. A Whole Lot of Love, or does the song remain the same? There is a difference. We have Page and Plant out on the road, and they're touring and they're successful, but it's not the same. You know, it's not the same, is it, Chris?
Certainly not. I mean, it's many years later, and I'm sure there's a lot of different stuff going through their heads. The people that they're playing for are different, and they don't have John Bonham and John Paul Jones with them, most importantly.
Everything you like about rock and roll, everything you hated about rock and roll, they were the band. They were the soundtrack to everything. And, my mother would not let me go see Led Zeppelin. I mean,
Led Zeppelin was a band that did not have a sound. I mean, they were them. They had a personality, but they did not have a sound. And that's really probably the greatest injustice that's done to this band is call them the forerunners of heavy metal. They were not the forerunners of heavy metal. They were not a heavy metal band.
So much more.
Actually, everyone makes that devil Led Zeppelin thing, but people forget Led Zeppelin actually did gospel songs.
Right.
I mean, Nobody's Fault But Mine is a song about if I don't read the Bible and I don't live a good life and I don't go to heaven, it's nobody's fault but mine.
Favorite Led Zeppelin album, Houses of the Holy.
Oh, I love that album.
JP.
For sure. I'd have to say the third album. I love the acoustic stuff, and it's just amazing.
Scott?
Well, I have to admit, on national television, I've never played a Led Zeppelin album from start to finish, so I don't have one. I do, however, love Robert Plant's solo stuff. I discovered Robert Plant on MTV in the early 80s with the solo stuff and the Honey Tripper stuff he did, which I love.
I have to say that outside of Whole Lot of Love and like Kashmir, I never knew the titles to any Led Zeppelin songs, so they all sort of became like, I never knew the titles, but the first album I ever bought with my own money was the second Led Zeppelin album.
Was it the last album you ever bought with your own money, too? Okay, I'm just checking. All right, when we come back, we're...
Want to try again? 1-800-COLLECT. Yo, Chuck, do you mind?
August 29th, 1995. A very special part of the post-Led Zeppelin story. If John Paul Jones was snubbed by Page and Plant, Heart's Ann and Nancy Wilson reached out to him to play and produce their very own Unplugged album by the name of The Road Home, recorded August 12th to 16th, 1994, which was almost on the same dates as Unledded. Now, a quick note here. There's 2 versions of The Road Home. The audio-only version is from the 1994 show at Backstage Club Seattle with Jones. The video release, though, was filmed on May 12, 1995, with no involvement from the former Led Zeppelin musician. This is the un-Jones one. You want to get the audio recording. The CD credits Jones on piano, bass, mandolin, conductor, and string arrangements that speak of his brilliance. With no footage of the 1994 show, it's somewhat hard to determine where Jones played his parts. I recommend revisiting the album. Stuff like These Dreams showcase John Paul Jones' talents. The production is well balanced. Pristine sounding elements will make you smile. The album sold almost 600,000 copies. The third part of the Page and Plant tour began with 2 legendary shows in Mexico City. A first time for Jimmy Page in Mexico. The concerts were tight but loose, with a great Latin America audience cheering non-stop at the sight of Led Zeppelin's frontmen in their home country.
Por el segundo tiempo en México, México. On drums, el rey del mundo, Mr. Michael Lee. Take my hands on me. Day turns into night, the night turns into day. Still we run, still we hide. We're gonna fall to the other side. We're gonna fall to the other side. Confused and confused. For someone that's not true, I wanted a woman. Stars to fill my dream.
Last 2 days of the tour took place at the Led Zeppelin historic landmark, Madison Square Garden in New York. Jimmy and Robert hadn't played this venue together since May 1988 for the second Led Zeppelin reunion. You can watch my special episode on this event. Guitarist Paul Thompson left the tour after the Madison Square Garden shows, with Jimmy assuming all guitar duties for the rest of the Unledded tour in 1996. Thompson's departure had a special ceremony with belly dancers on stage. The last time Page and Plant had belly dancers at the Garden was July 29, 1973, as Led Zeppelin played the closing section for Whole Lotta Love. The return to this venue was special for Page and Plant. The city of New York celebrated an almost long-year tour of riches and classic rock rituals. Jimmy Page deserves high praise for his guitar work, both electric and acoustic. It was his most fluid playing since the mid-70s. The band had gelled by then, but Robert looked strange, like a free spirit doing it for the money. This was his own prison. Jimmy looks like having the most fun here. For all Robert Plant's "this is not a Zeppelin reunion" arguments, here are some quick stats from both Madison Square Garden shows. They played a total of 21 Zeppelin numbers. Other than that, all we have outside of Led Zeppelin was Nigel Eaton's hurdy-gurdy solo, Paul Thompson's guitar bit, Jimmy's theremin, and a cover of The Doors' Break On Through. No new material from Unledded was performed. This was a Led Zeppelin reunion, sorta. November 21st, 1995. Peter Grant suffered a fatal heart attack while driving home. The surviving members of Led Zeppelin attended his funeral on December 4th.
Juror number 1, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 2, as to count 1, is this your verdict?
I can still turn to you. You are the first place we always try. 'Cause just like us, you have so many sides. Come see the many sides of seas.
Jimmy Page returned to Brazil in December. He played casual jam sessions with rock band Bichos, a band he talked about in local interviews, and the same band where Jimena's ex played, Luciano Silva. Stories of Jimmy's visits to the state of Bahia and the small municipality of Lençóis are the stuff of legends in Brazil. Page found its privacy and low-profile ways to be relaxing, energetic, and therapeutic. December 28th, Page and Plant held a press conference in Salvador to announce their upcoming shows in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro on January 20th and 27th, 1996. Jimmy Page returned to Lençóis for New Year's Eve and waited for 1996 to get back on the road. On the next episode of Post-Led Zeppelin 1990s, the Led Zeppelin connection to Brazil you didn't know about, and Page and Plant /shows from 1996. Stay tuned for this and much more. As always, thank you my dear patrons, PayPal donators, and Super Chats for keeping this channel alive. If you want to reach out with questions, suggestions, or comments, you can email me at jcm1129films@gmail.com. Take care. Bye bye. Obrigado minha comunidade Zeppelin.